Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Spataro, and I'm joined today by just a few of the Two True Freaks family. I'm here with Bill Robinson, Scott Gardner, sorry, uh, Luke Jaconetti, Chris Tyler, Gene Hendricks, and Professor Allen. It's a very, very sad day in Two True Freaks world. We lost our brother, Shawn Engel, yesterday, and we're all pretty devastated about it. We all knew Shawn had been sick, and we thought he was on the road to recovery, and then we got word from this, and it broke us all up a lot. So, for the time being, out of respect and out of love for Shawn, we're going to go on a temporary blackout on our shows. So for me, that'll be back to the bins and listen to the prophets, and just bear with us. We'll be back, and we'll be as strong as ever, but for the time being, it's effectively a podcast moment of silence that we're doing. Guys, please step in whenever you want.
Just from my perspective, comic book podcasting is a group made up of pretty nice, kind, friendly people. But it's hard to think of one who was nicer, kinder, or friendlier than Shawn was. And on a practical level, he consistently put out consistently quality shows.
Here.
Yeah. I'm just gonna miss the voice. It was a unique voice, and I'm not talking about in terms of what he presented. I mean, literally the sound of his voice. Nobody else sounds like Shawn, and I don't think anybody else ever will. I don't know how you can be a baritone and nasally at the same time. And I mean, I was just listening to a show that it was just him and I, and nobody else sounded like Shawn.
Normally this time of year I record a Christmas episode, and I always say at the end of the Christmas episode to think about all the things you have to be thankful for in your life, and keep in mind those who maybe don't have as much to be thankful for this year. And so we're not guaranteed tomorrow, so remember who's in your life and who's in need right now, and just think about your fellow man, your fellow geek, your fellow person next to you, and think about what they're going through and what you're going through.
At work today, I was doing some stuff that was some certain type of construction work I hadn't done in a long time, and I remembered one of the last times I had done it, I had been listening to Shawn's podcast. I had spent a pretty nasty summer in a warehouse, very hot warehouse, and all through that I had Shawn to listen to, and most of the Two True Freaks. But I was on a big kick of just one of the guys. So today in that atmosphere, I with what's been going on, I had a really hard time.
I can imagine.
A few times today, and actually had to call my wife because I just kind of realized I don't. We lose relatives, and I lost a lot of relatives at an earlier age, and usually you just don't think about people your own age or that you associate with. I guess I've never lost a friend like this. Even though I only met Shawn one time in person, it's still all the hours of speaking with him and listening to him. It's something that becomes a part of you, and it was just a really bad day. And I had to talk to my wife about it, and I've talked to some of you guys. Scott and I talked today. Paul and I talked today. So, and the many posts on Facebook. I had a hard time maintaining my composure through the day. So, he really will be missed.
Yeah, it's odd to me, at least, that I never had the pleasure of meeting Shawn face to face. But I was lucky enough to talk to him on several occasions, and I didn't realize how much this affected me until today. I mean, I found out the news last night, when most everyone did on Facebook. But then today, it's like I lost a close member of my family. I was out of sorts is the best way to put it. All day I was distracted. Luckily I had work that I could dive into and actually concentrate on doing. But at any time I had a break, I couldn't help but think about Shawn and his family. And it's odd that someone that I've never met just became such a part of my life that I would feel like this. And I mean, we're lucky. We were lucky enough to talk to Shawn and interact with him via email, Facebook, when he finally got on it or whatever. But there's a lot of people out there, probably a lot of you listening to this right now, that never had that chance. And he was still as much a part of your life as he was ours. And when I got into this hobby, I never realized that this would be the outcome, that I would grow so close to, all these guys that I've never, I've been lucky enough to meet several of the people on this call and several others, but there are others that I haven't met yet. And I was hoping that the yet would, go away. I was hoping to meet Shawn at one point, and now I'll never be able to. So I envy those of you that were able to actually shake his hand and spend time with him. And I am not going to go any further because I'll just be a mess.
Yeah.
It's well said.
The only thing I can add is, the thing about Shawn was he was a guy that he cared about what you had to say. And whether you were talking to him about Doctor Who or family or work or Green Lantern or anything, he cared and was listening, and he made you care about what he had to say. It's a lot of people just wait for the other person to stop talking. You always knew Shawn was listening, and that's such a rare thing nowadays, to have people that genuinely care about what you think and what you say, and that was Shawn.
Just want to throw in one more thing before I throw this to Scott to close it out, is that for the last almost 2 years I've gotten to do Listen to the Prophets with Shawn, and it's become part of, or it had become part of my routine. Every other Saturday morning, Andy, Shawn, and I would get on the microphones at 6 a.m. and we would do 2 episodes of the show. And it's become such a part of it became such a part of my life that's going to leave an emptiness there now. But I consider myself blessed to have had that, and that I had that chance to do a long project with him and feel closer to him. And even though I didn't realize the extent of how ill he was, obviously, the fact that in the last couple of months I had a chance to talk to him on the phone and tell him that I loved him. We had that conversation, and I feel blessed that I had that, and I treasure that.
It's today's been a tough day. It's been a really tough day. I had plans today ahead of time, well in advance of all of this happening, and one of the things that I was planning to do, I had to go on Disney property today, for several things, and one of the big ones being kind of doing my wife's Christmas shopping. But I had planned, we haven't had an episode of Earning My Ears out in quite a long time, just because Scott Ryfin and I, our schedules just have not been in sync. And my schedule's been a mess, which is a lot of the reason why there hasn't been a proper two True Freaks out in such a while, until Chris and I just knocked out a recent episode of Growing Up Star Wars. Anyway, I really, I got up today. I didn't sleep well at all last night. This was all weighing on my mind and everything, and I really slept very little, and I got up fairly early today, and I charged up my cameras, and I got my recorder all ready, and I made sure I had plenty of space and everything, and I thought, I'm gonna try to, I don't know even know how to put it, not like take my mind off it, but just try to I don't know, whatever, forge ahead or whatever. And I got in the car and I was heading down there, and I couldn't seem to clear my mind at all. And I quickly realized, with my son at school and my wife at work and everything, it's like I didn't want to be alone. So I texted our friend Matt Hunsworth. I was like, "Are you at work today?" And I was like, "Yeah, I am at work today." And then, as Bill can attest to, I called Bill. I'm like, "Are you busy?" So I called and I talked to Bill for a while. But Bill, he was at work and he had to work and everything. So, it's the strangest feeling in the world to find yourself at the most popular theme park in the world at the busiest time of the year for that venue, surrounded by a sea of humanity and feeling completely alone. And that was kind of the feeling today. It was very melancholy. I mean, I was just flat missing my friend. And yeah, it was a tough day. And I know that we're planning to do some sort of a tribute show, and also I want to save the stories and things for that. But just a hell of a guy, and I consider myself truly blessed to have known him. And I'm concerned for his wife and his family, his children and everything. I hope they know that we care, and if they need anything from us, and of course we're reaching out to them and everything. But just so many mixed emotions through the whole thing. But just the biggest thing is just an overwhelming sense of just loss, which is what this is. It's a terrible loss for all of us, a friend, a brother, and to the network. I mean, the guy was a force, in this network, in this show. And I hope he never felt that he was I hope he always knew that we really thought of him that way and looked at him that way. I mean, I respected the body of work that he did and everything he was able to accomplish. I mean, he came into the network and just Chris and I, and we were all talking last night, as we discovered, we all learned the news and everything, kind of stumbled into a Skype chat, just stunned by the news, and as we were kind of comparing notes, just realizing how much the guy had done, and it's just amazing. It's a testament to him. So if I'm understanding Paul correctly on this, I think that it is appropriate to take this. Essentially, it's like a podcasting moment of silence in Shawn's honor, and I think it's very appropriate because he was such a big part of the network itself. So yeah, I think it's very appropriate, and just flat miss the guy.
The only thing I just want to also say on behalf of the listeners, we are a family, we podcasters, and we speak to each other often, whether it's on Skype, on Facebook, but if you're a podcast listener and you don't really interact with us, I would imagine that you feel a sense of loss as well. And I just want to kind of acknowledge that, because as podcasters, I think we put ourselves out there to you. We put our lives out there. We're not always sharing every personal thought we have, but I think you get to know us. You get to know us better than we get to know you, because you hear our thoughts and you hear our personalities and you know what we're like. And I think it's what the term I've come up with for it is perceived intimacy.
Yep.
And I'm sure there's a lot of you out there who knew Shawn, even though you never spoke to him and never interacted with him at all, because he did put himself out there, and you saw what a wonderful man he was. And I just want to acknowledge that I understand that you have a loss too. We all have a loss, and it's a terrible loss for all of us. Unless anybody else has to add anything, I think we can close it out.
He was the best damn cat wrangler in the business.